India apparently. I have Indian vibes, people say.
Let's keep going. Let's keep moving. Anyways, as Catholics, we call it vocation. But really, our career paths, our futures, I really believe, need to bring all our passions and our desires together.
It was my time to perform, and I bombed. Like I forgot the words. Forgot the whole. Like I started the song quite strong, and then
Hey guys, welcome back to Waffle Fries podcast.
WFP!
WFP. This is our first episode, official episode.
With image! What?
With video.
This is
with
what I
video.
actually look like. Oh
With
my
video. So if
God.
you haven't heard about us, or this is your first time clicking on to this live, we had 2 pilot episodes, which you can find over,
yeah, it'll be up there
Up there
on
or
the bottom
somewhere.
one.
but it's on Tommy's YouTube, so you can.
Tommy will be editing videos, so it's fine.
Anyways, so if you haven't seen, we have 2 pilot episodes, and in our second episode, we explain why we chucked out 2 pilots. But really, the 3 of us, we've been friends for how long now? Couple years now. We're mutual friends through the CFC Youth for Christ community.
Yeah.
That's where we all kind of connected. And yeah, through our time in serving as leaders in that community, the 3 of us spent time together, and yeah, like we're 3 different people, but 3 like-minded people. The conversations that we have are very like probing into the way we think. You know, it challenges us, challenges each other, and I think it helps grow us as people. I think that's why we enjoy hanging out and having conversations, and we thought, why not record it? Like, chuck up a camera, connect the mic. I don't know if you can see the mic, but it's right here. And get to hear what other people think. Because all of us are thinkers, and we like to challenge the way we think and other people think. So I think that's the thing that sort of brought this podcast idea together.
Yeah.
But also, the 3 of us come from, like I said earlier, 3 different walks of life. For example, if you haven't seen, I'm a full-time pastoral missionary. Nikki is.
A future educator.
And I'm a freelance musician.
And so, as you can see, the 3 of us have very different career paths. But as mentioned before, we have a lot of commonalities. Like, we've all been born and raised Catholic, share similar views, but
Filipino.
again,
We're all Filipino.
yes, totally. But
I'm Australian.
yeah, I was born and raised in Australia. Were you born here, Nikki?
No,
Oh.
I was an Australian baby. That's why I have eczema. Anyway, continue.
Okay. Anyways,
So you're born here or born?
Born Australia!
Oh, okay. Sorry.
but you just said
You
no.
just said no.
I said I was born in Australia, that's why I have eczema.
Oh, but we said we're born in Australia too,
And
and
I
then you
said-
said no. I'm not.
No, oh!
Yeah.
Okay, cut that out.
Cut. You're the one cutting. Anyway. Alright. Whatever.
Anyways, like I said, we're 3 different people from 3 different careers, but
3 different
very
countries.
like-minded people. I didn't get the joke. You want to say it again?
3 different countries. Okay, bye.
You're from Philippines.
I'm from India, apparently. I have Indian vibes, people say.
Let's keep going. Let's keep moving.
Anyways, so this whole first episode is the official start of the Waffle Fries podcast. Out of this podcast, we just want to get people talking, basically, you know, about life, about topics, and yeah, that's the purpose of the first 2 pilots, to hear what you guys think, see what you want, and we're gonna start. In this first episode, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just simply share our stories, roughly 10 minutes each, to not, you know, be too long. But yeah, we're gonna talk about how we came to be to the points we are now. Like myself as a missionary, Nikki as a future educator, and Tommy as a musician. How we got to these points, simply because I think all of us agree that stories are. Well, personally, I always say this, and I think these guys agree, is that stories is one of the most valuable things in this world. All of us are different, made differently, and have our different stories. Like, there might be many musicians, many teachers, many different missionaries, but in how we got there, that's unique to us.
Yeah.
And all of us we're Catholic, so we believe that God has a greater plan in that, and so in that same way, in our own stories, that's how God's worked in our lives. So that's why we want to start this podcast series with sharing our stories, so that we can share about ourselves, but also that it gives us some credentials on the personalities that you'll be investing to if you decide to follow us in this podcast journey, or background to our views and topics anyway. So yeah, do we want to rock paper scissors to see who starts?
Rock, paper, scissors.
That's all. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, out of you two.
3, 2, 1.
I hate going
Nikki,
first.
it's
okay,
alright.
first fun fact about me. I hate going first. Actually, no, that's a lie. I love going first because... No, but anyway. Okay.
Just do this.
Okay.
We'll have it structured. So just have a bit of like how you kind of grew up that led you, like what influenced you to take the path of teaching.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's a good
and so
discussion
like where are
question.
you at right now in that path?
Process.
Yeah. So that's what we'll just be sharing with them.
Okay. I guess like Mandred said, we all were kind of born Catholic. I think we were raised in a Catholic family, a Catholic household. We went to church every weekend. Well, for me anyway. I don't know about you guys. They'll share about that. I think, when you're growing up, I think a lot of people can relate to this, that you go to church and you're just there for out of habit, I guess. But as you grow up, I think you learn to think for yourself, right? And I think that's what we, as youth, want to do. We want to create our own identity. We want to, be individuals. So I think that, along with youth leadership, I think I was formulating like who I was as a person at the time, and I think really thinking why I do the things I do. For example, even like with everything I did, I reflected like, why am I doing youth leadership? And it was like a daily process, like a daily thought process. Like you have to really discipline yourself to do that, to create a meaningful life. I think I learned that earlier on in my life. So I think what made me that type of person, was through a lot of leadership roles. I think it really trained me to be that person. And naturally, it led to a love for others. So in my youth leadership, I was a youth leader from like year 12 to last year, like 2018. Like that's 7 years of being a youth leader. So in that time, there was a lot of like, you don't want, I didn't want to be a youth leader that contradicted herself, or that, that wasn't genuine. So I try to train myself to become a person of character and integrity. So, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I think like what I was striving for was just realness or authenticity or just integrity. So I was really open and transparent with everyone I met. And that, again, like I said, it translated into wanting the best for other people as well, and wanting them to experience a very joyful and authentic life. So does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. 100% sense.
Okay,
you can
good.
sort of see now where she's slowly going into teaching. So keep going.
So and then, with teaching, right, I've always wanted to become a teacher. But it was through the leadership skills and through the leadership experience that I kind of conjoined them together, like why I want to be a teacher and what that means, what I can use my leadership experience for. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
How I can connect the two, right? But the thing was, I was dealing with youth in YFC, in Youth for Christ. But what the kind of teaching I wanted to do was primary school teaching. So the age group was different. But so that was one of my biggest like kind of cruxes. Is that the word? That was one of my biggest kind of life dilemmas, was to decide whether I should do primary or high school. I think I've always wanted to do primary, but anyway, not really relevant right now. But I'm really passionate about primary school teaching, and I think it comes from wanting others to lead authentic and genuine lives, and just I believe in joy, and I believe in happiness. I believe in I'm gonna sound like a hippie, but I really believe in like optimistic and optimistic mentalities, and I really value mental health and stuff like that. So it's really good to cultivate these early in children, especially that's where
I agree.
they're sponges, right? They absorb everything. With high school kids, yeah, like there's a more obvious impact in them, I guess, but everyone remembers where they came from as well. Like everyone it's deeply rooted in people. So I think a good place to start is in.
Remembers where they came from.
Yeah, I think so. Like
Yeah, I agree.
like I'm not to say that people can't change, but at the same time, like you learn habits early. So I think teaching is a good way to do that. And I said to these guys earlier, I think that I have a lot of passion for different things, and I think teaching is one of those things that you can implement every single one of those.
Puts it all
things.
together.
Yeah. For example, like I would love to be more versed in climate change, but I'm not a professional, but I would love to learn more about it, or I would love to just help the world in that way. But then I also want to help the world in another way. Like I sound like Mother Teresa. I wish I was her, but we're all individuals. But she's my role model, by the way. I don't know if I've ever told you that. Mother
Learn
Teresa.
something new each day.
That's true. Yeah. No, I didn't know that.
I love her quote. I tell my workmates all the time.
Yep.
My favorite quote from Mother Teresa it's the standard one. It's the love anyway one. Can you just put it up on the screen? I'll put it up on the screen. This is my favorite quote. I'm not sure if for a YouTube video or a podcast.
Yeah, true. I mean, it's both now.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
Bit of both.
Yeah, you can be both.
So I have a lot of influences, but I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I have just one question. Like, so you had that crossroad of secondary or primary, and your influence was like you were doing leadership to secondary. Like,
yes.
What was the thing that was like? Maybe it was in your heart, or was it influenced by something else that made like, no, I choose primary. Like you had to make a choice in the end of the day, right?
Yep.
So like, because right now, for those that don't know, you're finishing your
degree soon. I have
masters,
one more,
right?
Yeah, I have one more semester left, and then I'll
Master
start
Nikki.
teaching.
Damn.
Yeah. So sorry, that was one more semester, right?
Yeah, one more
Dr.
semester.
Nikki.
So that's the context of where Nikki is right now in that journey as a primary educator.
Kids.
My question is, what made you choose primary?
I think that's a hard one. Like, that's why I didn't elaborate on it, because I think it's hard to explain, but I'll try my best. Like, pretty much, I did really think like I wanted to make an impact on secondary students, because that's what I was experienced with in youth leadership. Like, that was the age group. So in youth leadership, I was working with 12 to 18-year-olds. And that's the same age group as a high school student. And I think that's where I found a lot of the fruits that I was planting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, from the seed.
I was seeing the fruits, right?
Yeah.
But I think with primary children, now this is an unofficial kind of reason, but I think I'm seeing it now. Because I'm still like in the process of like
discovering it.
Really discovering like why I'm doing primary teaching. And I think at the end of the day, I think it's just because I enjoy it. But thinking about it deeper now, I think what it comes down to, and our vocations should be about this. Well, I believe this anyway, that it's not about you. Like, I think this is going to get really spiritual, but I really think that, and I really do believe that it's not really me doing these things. Like, I really believe that it's God giving me these skills.
Amen. Yeah.
And we're using it for his glory, right? So that's just another quote I love is a really common one as well. It's AMDG. It's the Latin, I don't know how to say it in Latin, but it's for the greater glory of God.
I don't speak Latin.
Memoriam Dei.
But he did theology at Notre.
Yeah, I did theology, not Latin.
Yeah.
But still.
Anyways.
Anyway, so that also grounds me into why I do the things I do. So in saying that, why it leads to primary school is, I think with primary school you won't see the fruit straight away, and I think that's the beauty of primary school teaching, because it's selfless. Like you won't see that. You won't see the direct effects.
Yeah, that's deep.
Because you're
I like
actually
it, yeah.
just cultivating the seeds, and then they become individuals that harness those fruits. You know what I mean? Harvest.
Yeah,
those
makes
fruits. So
sense.
That's
I think I'm just thinking about it now. I think that's a really
That's crazy.
That's a great answer.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
3, 2, 1. That's another
Well
thing
done.
we do in our youth group. When we finish our discussion groups or sharings, we always do that. So that's just a little inside joke. Maybe you guys can do it in your families or whatever you do.
Hey, okay. Like, oh, Mom, you're getting shouted at by your mom. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, my turn.
But I think like I don't know, they can do it. Like if we have people
yeah.
that aren't in community,
Yeah, true.
can use it
Yeah,
in
yeah, it's good. Yeah.
their ordinary lives.
At work, you're
But-
getting scolded by your boss. 3, 2, 1.
Stop. That's what it means, boss. No.
Listen
What's
to
this
Mandarin
podcast?
Get the context. Oh, see, this is how we advertise.
Yeah,
it.
true, true.
We create an inside joke with our viewers. It'll
it
become a
with-
trend.
Do it with your show.
At the show. Alright, everyone's talking. Alright, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, wait, I bet you most of the people will be
Yeah,
committed
true.
to this.
And then everyone that's not will just do it because
No, but
they're
you
rowdy.
have an opening act.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
opening
true.
goes at 3, 2, 1. My turn.
True. You should try it after your songs.
True. I might. I'll try for one of them.
A tradition.
And then we'll cheer for you. Anyways, so one thing I wanted to point out that I really love from what Nikki was saying was actually two things. First, it was the idea that teaching for her put all her passions together. And I've shared this before to like the people I'm like my friends. Yeah, I have friends.
Us.
As a missionary, I'm not like, friendless. I have a lot of friends who are there to support me. 3,
Oh, yeah,
4,
true.
5,
Okay,
6,
alright,
7, 8, 9, 10. Over here.
Oh, they're getting extinct, guys.
Anyways,
What?
one thing I wanted to point out was like, I think that's what it means. Like as Catholics, we call it vocation. But really, our career paths, our futures, I really believe need to bring all our passions and our desires together. If you're good at these things or like music or like drawings or arts or whatever, like who we are is everything together. Like we shouldn't compromise on these desires in our hearts. They should always work together for our future. I think that's what it means when they say you're made for greatness, right?
I think it just creates meaning as well in your life. Like,
Yeah.
Whoa.
So like,
purpose.
I think there's a big thing on that. Like, why can't we add it together? So I just wanted to point out how I love that in Nikki's sharing. Like, it's an example of that. Like, all her passions and desires came together, and that's what it means to be a teacher for her. But I also love how, like she said, that she chose primary over secondary simply because for her, like, we're not saying this is the truth for everyone, right? But for Nikki's decision, it was more selfless. And I think that's what it means to give back and be part of this world is the things we do. It's not about us and our glory, but how we can make the world a better place.
Yeah. Can I just
For
add?
us as Catholics, how we can, bring Christ to this world and make it a better place. So yeah.
I'll just add because like I just thought about it. Like with primary kids, like they're not gonna appreciate all the effort that you put in. Like, I think I was talking to you about this before. I'm the type of person that puts a lot of effort into like a little joke or something like that. And I think like if that translates into my lesson plans, the kids aren't gonna appreciate that. I think that's the thing. Like I'll have to, I think, come to terms with like that it's not about me. And I think that's gonna be pushing me towards that kind of that mindset of like it's not about me. So I think that's what we'll really. What did you say?
Mortification.
What's that mean again?
It's like dying to oneself.
I think that's what will push me towards that mortification type of mindset, and I
It's a
think
big word.
but it was purification.
So here's my segue. Tommy, we talked about a bit earlier. I don't know if you guys know. I don't know when this podcast will be released, but if it's released before November 28th, Tommy, as we said, he's a musician, and he's gonna be doing his first concert. He recently released an EP called
The Wake Up EP.
Oh, sorry.
It's the Wake Up EP.
And-
Spotify, iTunes, etc.
And you can find it there. And he's gonna be having a launch, so a concert in Central, in Sydney on the 28th.
Yes.
So if this podcast is up before it, you're
gonna buy tickets.
you'll be there.
Yeah, you're gonna.
It's only $10. There's
Only?
a bit of a surcharge, but
Yeah,
No, it's the drinks included though. You
So
get a
if you
free
guys
drink.
like that,
Yeah, if
it's
you
there.
like drinks. If you don't like
basically
drinks,
half
like
price. But anyways, like his concert will be there. So as you can see, Tommy's been, well, maybe you can see, maybe you just seen him like for the first time.
Ooh.
But Tommy has a concert coming up, so I guess this is the best segue for Tommy to share how you had that music influence, like what influenced you to do music and to be a musician, and what got you to that point now where you're having your first concert.
Pretty crazy, yeah. When you put it like that, eh? Like I'm having a concert. It's freaking. Anyway.
Oh my god, we're with a celebrity. Oh my god. Ew.
That's why he's in the podcast.
Yeah.
That's why we uploaded on his account.
True.
there's
For the
parts-
exposure.
For the exposure, you mean for the follows, for the likes. Anyway, that's a deep thing. Anyway.
TikTok.
TikTok. Follow me on TikTok if you guys got it. I forgot what my username is, but whatever.
I'm gonna get roasted for that.
Yeah,
Keep going.
So I was gonna clip it, eh?
Yeah.
You should
Let's
clip
see if
it.
it's still going.
Yeah, check. So anyway, while Nikki checks the camera, how did I get started in music? So I started. Oh, from a young age, my parents like played music in the house, like a lot of Eagles, Pink Floyd, classic rock, very acoustic-y, guitar-driven band stuff. And I suppose that's where I got my first like big. Well, this is music. Here you go. Like, you mean like he's some sort of thing that you listen to. Didn't really resonate, to be honest. Like, it was just always playing in the house. Yeah, so that was the thing. And then maybe like year 8, I got the Marshall Mathers LP, the Eminem album. And I was like, oh man, like I want to try and make this. Like, I want to try and make music.
Sample.
You want me to rap?
Yeah.
Nah.
Maybe to close. Maybe
Come
to
to the
close.
show November 28th.
Oh,
There you go. So
plug,
that's how you
plug.
do it. Anyway, so I was like, I want to try and make this. So my first like songs ever that I made were like raps, right? Even now, like in my bio on Instagram, it says singer songwriter that wants to be a rapper. Because I think I have a very particular message to give, and that's what the whole rap scene is about, giving a message. They just speak over music. That's legit what they do, and it's a message. Anyway, so I went through that whole phase of writing songs or whatever, and then eventually I got to a place where I wanted to record myself. I didn't record myself rapping. I recorded myself singing in the bathroom. Videos are still on Facebook if you want to suss it out. Not very good. I guarantee you listen to it, you go, oh, what the? Oh, that's not.
As a secret confession, I think I was in a group of people that did that when
Yeah.
Tommy first like started.
Posting.
It was a bit cringy. And
No.
it's okay now that he admits it.
No, yeah. Well, I think there was a couple of those type of group. Oh, look at this guy, whatever. And but
I want to be part of a group. I want to be part of a group.
that's alright, man. That's alright, man. You're part of this group now, man. It's all
No,
good.
I want to be part of a group that cringes.
Oh, roast. Oh, okay, whatever. Anyway, but on the flip side of that, there was also on the surface level, I suppose, there was a whole bunch of likes. You mean like the first video got like 120, the next one got like the same, and I kept doing it. Right?
Boost your ego, huh?
Yeah, right. Like for real, like it boosts my ego, and I'm kind of like, yeah, big head or whatever. Like, even like, it's always fun to. It's. But you know.
No, even in his wife's show, remember that it always.
It's always me.
Remember in his worships, it would always go off. No,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
his
yeah.
prayers.
Yeah, at the end.
In
At
his,
the end.
his lifting up the praises.
Oh yeah.
It'd always go off with.
If Tommy's editing, this is how you'll tell if Tommy's audio editing is really good. Because right now, my clock downstairs is going off, so that's the context. And whenever we have stuff in my house and Tommy's like saying something or sharing or leading worship, it always seems to go off,
Like,
especially in the
Or
wrong
alarms.
timings.
Yeah, it's always like right in the middle of when I'm trying to go.
But anyway, so
Yeah.
you're sharing. You got a big ego from all these.
Yeah, right. So
Yes.
like you mean likes aren't everything, right? But it's like it gave me, especially like a young kid, like year 8, year 9. You're like, oh shoot, like people like these, so I'm gonna keep doing it. So I kept doing it. I picked up the ukulele. Actually, I picked up the guitar first. The strings were too rough on my hands, I'm teaching myself, so I'm like, man, bum this. Picked up a ukulele, learned the ukulele, started doing covers with it too. Those covers got likes.
Sample.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, I could totally chuck a lemonade or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Anyways,
Anyway.
maybe if you stay till the end.
The videos are on Facebook.
They're just gonna.
Yeah, they're gonna skip to the end. There's no video at the end, don't worry.
Yeah, because we're hiding it in. You have to watch the whole thing.
Oh yeah, you don't know when it's gonna pop up.
Yeah.
We're just gonna
That's
pop
a
it
good
up
one.
like randomly.
True.
Random cover.
It's gonna like not even.
Let's do those.
It's
We'll
not
do
even,
those random things like TikTok. We're just gonna put it
Like the
randomly.
clickbait is in the middle of the video.
yeah, it's like nothing. Like it's extra. We film it after.
Anyway,
Anyway.
he
Sorry.
was playing the uke.
And then so I played the uke, played it with covers. Then I played the guitar and I made covers with that, and people were liking it, whatever. And over time, I was like developing my voice and my ability and crafting in whatever. All the while, not really pursuing it outside of my own home. Like I didn't really go out. At school, I wasn't offered music in year 11, 12. Yeah, right. So it's pretty rough. Like,
First time I'm hearing that.
yeah, no, she's heard it. This is the maybe 1,000th time Nikki's hearing this. But yeah, and so it gets to year 11 and 12, and it's kind of like that time of, I got to pick what I'm going to do, this, that, the other. Everyone's telling me. But I really like music at this point. Like, I was like, man, this is cool. Like, I like doing this. And so there was a scholarship program at the Australian Music Performing Arts School, AMPA, and I applied and I got in. And then I made it to, there was a whole bunch of audition rounds and whatnot and whatever. And there was and I got to the finals. So it was like top maybe 10 people out of all of Australia.
Damn.
Yeah, right. And I got to the final showcase and it was my time to perform. And I bombed. Like I forgot the words. Not the whole, like I started the song quite strong and they were like, oh yeah, okay. But then the second verse I totally forgot. I just did a chorus and then I left. People clapped, of course, they're going to clap. But I knew in my mind, oh, man, I really like messed up or whatever. And then the car ride home with my mates, I was like, bro, if I just got one more shot, if I just got one more chance to perform, I would smash it. And so, do you mean like, I suppose that leads into where my life is now. In saying that I didn't do the music degree at AMPA, I actually did a double degree, Bachelor of Commerce Economics, Bachelor of Arts Music.
Ooh.
That's what I chose.
Wait, is that like 4 degrees?
Nah, so it's
sorry.
two. So
Bachelor of
Commerce,
okay.
majoring in economics. Bachelor of Arts,
okay.
majoring in music.
Okay.
And so, I did that for 3 years, and then the third year, I dropped the business, the commerce, the economics, because I was like, man, this is not, even if there was like a specific economics job where they were only hiring guys named Tommy, I still wouldn't apply. So it's like, what am I doing this for? Doing it for my parents?
Tommy.
You know what I mean? For real, but like,
Tommy Bolin Francisco.
yeah, for
This
real.
job is for you.
This is,
It's
we
in
made this
economics.
for you, right? It's in economics.
Nah, I don't want it.
And for real, that's me. That's what I would.
Yeah.
So I was like, am I doing this for my parents? Am I doing this for society? For the recognition of who? Like, no one. I'm gonna spend my money and time getting a degree, being unhappy for what?
Amen,
And so
brother.
I dropped the economics. I finished the music degree, graduated in February, and since February, I've been freelancing, playing gigs, mixing and mastering, producing, trying to make this thing, I suppose, a career. I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to do what I got. Do you mean like it's very rare that like someone knows what their passion is, and I suppose I figured it out early. And so, like, you mean, by God's grace, like, I figured it out, and so I'm not letting go, bro. Fluff that. Like, freak, you want me to turn around and be like, not do the thing that I know that I like and I'm good at? Man, no way. And so, I put out an EP recently. I got a show coming up. And yeah, regardless of the results so far, I'm going to keep doing it until I die, probably, because, yeah, that's kind of what I envision for my life. Hopefully I have a family, but yeah.
Music's first.
For now.
I think that's really beautiful. I think what Tommy failed to say, not failed.
I failed.
Forgot to mention.
Miss.
Forgot to mention.
Sorry, miss.
I think what he forgot to mention. Oh well, I would say this is more of a commentary on my behalf. I think, what kind of person Tommy is. I think he doesn't give up. Like, that's the main thing he's trying to say. Like, he is a person that uses his resources. He uses what he has and he turns it into something that he maximizes his resources, I guess. But I don't know.
No, I get you.
But I think that's what I admire about Tommy as a friend. Like, he's just very proactive and very positive in a way where it's like, you know, when he bombed out, he was just like, you know what? If I only did better, like I would have smashed it. And then, yeah, like some people would. Some I'm not speaking English apparently.
Yeah, thank you for this. Are these good words or?
Okay. Yeah,
No, what I'm trying to say is like, yeah, like he's a very, very, very good friend.
Anyways,
Yeah.
speaking of being a good friend, I've known Tommy for a while as well, and I think something.
Oh, you're not only Tommy now.
No.
What about me?
You already had your turn, mate. Like, you just.
She's cutting into Tommy's 10 minutes. But anyways, what I wanted to say was, I think some stuff that Tommy forgot to, he kind of left out a bit was he's actually serving. Like I've known Tommy since we've actively like served together in the CFC Youth for Christ community since 2016.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so I got to know Tommy like when he was sharing about doing his degree, like the double degree. I got to know him during that time. And I remember we were on mission in Melbourne. So actually the three of us have also been on mission at different times in Melbourne. But I went and I remember talking with Tommy as his leader at the time and asking him about how like uni was going. And I remember like there was a point where he would always share about his double degree and how he loved the music side, but the economics was so challenging. And I remember there was a time that I asked him like, why not just do one, you know? And I guess that's why I'm asking this question to Tommy, like, what was that point where you decided I'm just gonna go all out music?
It was you. You changed him.
No, but in a sense, like Tommy has to be the one to make the decision, right? For anyone to make a move. Because I knew at that time, like I was challenging him in the way he thinks. But yeah, like what was the realization, I guess,
Yeah.
that made you be like, I'm just gonna go all out for music. Like, sorry, economics, you're my safety, but goodbye.
Sorry, side chick.
Anyway.
Sorry, I forgot they Catholic.
I don't have a main chick, so I can't have. Anyway.
Yeah, but we're
Music.
single.
anyway. Plug.
Plug. Thanks, Nikki.
I think what made me make the jump was the whole. Well, because I've always kind of been like, if you haven't tried it, why are you saying you shouldn't do it type thing? Like if you haven't like. Corned beef and bread.
Yeah, it's like corned beef and bread.
Yeah, Nikki hasn't had corned beef and bread.
No.
Anyway. But yeah, like I was like, just try it. Like, you mean like, and because there's only two, if you try something, there's only two ways you can go. It's either you love it or you don't love it. And if you don't love it, move on to the next thing. And it's like, all right, so I've tried doing both. Like, let me try the one that I like right now, which is music. And I loved it. If it didn't work out, I probably would have just tried doing the economics by itself. But, you mean, by God's grace, music is like what's worked. And I actually, like, love it. Like, it's crazy that I use that word. But
And it's very true. I remember actually vividly because that was in Melbourne. And then I think a few months later, I asked you, or maybe it was a year later, I asked you, like, how's it going again? And you were like, yeah, I finally dropped economics and I love it. And
yeah.
even as his leader, just knowing Tommy as a person, I saw how much he was happier as a person. And yeah, like I affirmed that. Like, look at him now. He's going to have a concert, releasing EPs.
Woo!
But even within our community, Tommy has done a lot of things for us as well. We have international conferences. So the CFC Youth for Christ community, Couples for Christ community is international. And we were there in 2000 and last year, which was 2018.
Yeah.
It was like 25 years of Youth for Christ being around in the world. And Tommy actually helped, like he produced, the song was written by Kuyabimbo, right?
Yeah.
But Tommy produced the song, and it's called Full Blast.
Oh, really?
It's also on Spotify. And so if you listen to it, it's his voice, and it's pretty hectic. I remember during that conference, I asked Tommy what his highlight was, and I think you were sharing to me how, like, it was the moment at the end of the end of the Saturday night where like the theme song played and then fireworks was playing to the song.
Yeah, they choreographed fireworks to a song.
How was the sound system, but?
Really good.
True. I mean, for that one, yeah. The first time I heard it though, do you remember?
Yeah,
I was
they were
like,
sound testing.
Bro, like they had it at like this like a pre-party or something like that, and it sounded horrible, and I started freaking out. I was like, people pay me to do this, and it's sounding like I made it with my toaster or something. You mean like and a potato as my
disclaimer?
headphones.
They're just like using. It wasn't the main thing. So.
Yeah. It wasn't. It didn't matter.
It was the Lord testing Tommy about.
Yeah, it's like humility or something. I don't know. Anyway.
But those are the things like.
Yeah.
You
That was
know,
crazy. You know, I forgot about that.
music has really
Even
been.
though you didn't write it.
Music
I
was a
thought
big
you
part.
made the lyrics.
No.
He produced it.
Yeah, you produced it, but I thought you made the lyrics and like they gave you lyrics, but you had to do it yourself.
Yeah. Oh, they gave me the that's what it means by right.
They
They gave me the
wrote
words.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you made the melody.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got the
yeah.
Yeah,
Life
produced
is
it.
life is
Yeah,
okay
produced,
again. Life is okay.
produce, compose, whatever you want to call it.
Again. It's fine.
But yeah, so
Makes sense again.
in those ways, Tommy, I guess one thing I love about Tommy's story for all of you out there who are finishing, maybe some of you finishing high school. I know my brother is. Some of you are still in uni or having that unsure idea of where you want to go in the future. We have this big desire of chasing your dream. You know, I agree with Tommy in the sense that like, just give it a go, because if it's not for you, you'll know, and then you should just move on.
Yeah.
Rather than have that in the back of your mind, and then in the end of the day, if you're gonna regret it, you know, like for me, like you're gonna sit back and be like, what if I did this? Like, I can't. I don't know personally. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I can't go through my life knowing that.
Yeah.
Like having that weighing in the back of my mind. Like never what ifs. Like always just chase that those desires. Like what Nikki said earlier as well. Like I really believe our desires have to come together, and we should never compromise it. So yeah. And so I guess I'm the last one.
I'm just gonna check the camera again, yeah?
Yes. No worries. Speaking of desires and chasing that, so I'm a lay missionary for Couples for Christ right now. I recently became one, officially June 5th. What happened?
I don't know how much it didn't record, but okay.
Oh,
Just
shoot.
keep going.
Don't worry, the rest Nikki can illustrate.
Yeah. I'll just mention it in a voiceover.
Yeah. The next part was not recorded properly. That's fine.
True, people do that though. People do that. Like K-Side does that all the time.
And then we can just test to see if people like, you know.
Actually caught it. Yeah.
Actually like.
It's what's it called? It's engaging, like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
like-
it's another inside joke.
Yeah, yeah.
Parts of our story, like you know how like some TVs go claymation, like
Yeah.
halfway through? we go Nicky-mation, because that's what I'm gonna call it.
True.
Oh,
That's rough.
You have
so
a-
much projects to do.
Yeah.
Nikki
Nah,
has
nah, you don't have to
a
animate it.
unique skill. But anyways, so how did I become a missionary?
Yeah.
So I recently became one in June, but it's been a long journey there. Like similar to these guys, I grew up Catholic, born and raised in a Catholic household. Growing up, similar to Tommy, I did things out of culture, out of tradition, like go to mass, blah blah blah. And even when I started in a youth group around like year 5 and 6. But that was in my school, my primary school, local parish, and a lot of that was just for fun. Then when I went to high school, long story short is that like I went to high school, had to find my identity, went into the wrong group, wrong crowd, bad influences took me away from what I grew up, like the morals, Catholic morals. Yeah, Nikki calls them the baddies. She's a primary school teacher, so she treats us like primary school kids.
Get away from them baddies.
Anyways,
Don't encourage them.
so we don't encourage Nikki with these jokes. Anyways,
Oh,
I'm not
jeez.
joking.
jokes. Nikki is a very funny person when she doesn't try.
What do you mean? I don't try.
Anyways,
Dude.
so this is where we always get like, it's the baddie thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Last time we were recording this, Nikki made the same thing, and then we go off tangent.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Oh, it's my fault
Keep it
now.
rolling,
Yeah.
keep it rolling.
Keep it
I'm
rolling.
gonna get
No one's
past-
fault, it's no one's
Keep
fault.
it
No one's fault.
rolling.
Anyways,
Rolling.
So, anyways,
That
high
was good,
school,
that was good.
starting high school, finding identity. Anyways, I left those guys that were a bad influence and found new friends who, of course, like these are the guys that actually invited me.
Macedon, Daddy wants to talk to you.
Can I get ice cream?
In a bit. Ready, go.
Leave it in the podcast. Mercedon, we'll say Mercedon.
Special guest featuring
Nalai.
my
Your
grandma.
grandma.
Anyways, basically, I found a better group of friends that invited me to this youth group called Youth for Christ, which is what we've been sharing about. And when I went there, I came back like it was a place that was familiar to the way I grew up. So anyways, I found a home, I found friends, I found a place to belong. And then in 2012, we have conferences. We were in Melbourne, and that was the point where the youth group became more than just friends, more than just family. It was a place where the faith became real. It was during the night. I know Tommy was there. Nikki, were you there?
Melbourne.
Yeah.
Yes.
They split. So in the community, we call each other brothers and sisters, like boys and girls. So we had brothers and sisters, like they split up where the brothers had their session, the sisters had theirs. And in that brothers forum, it was really just the first time I ever saw men be vulnerable. You know, the stories that were shared were really intense for, I think I forget how, I don't want to do the maths now, but I was young when I was there. And that's when it became real. Like, these guys are going through real struggles. I'm not alone. But this is the way we should be as men of God, sons of God. And so that's where I was like, wait, I need to do something. Like, it's not just about the friends I have here or the place to belong. I need to do something with, like, actually actively pursue my faith. So the rest of that year after the conference, I decided to pursue it. You know, I came back to the sacraments, like reconciliation. I think that was the first time since like my brother's first communion that I went. And yeah, like that's where my personal renewal started. I started to chase the faith. That's when after that conference, I became the leader for Seven Hills. And I thought it was crazy. I was like 15, 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And like to be leading all these areas, like it was intense. But I think in the end of the day, as a leader, the Lord called me there to mold me. It wasn't about me giving. So yeah, the Lord changed and renewed me. And then, yeah, the story continues. Actually, something that I realized recently is my story began in World Youth Day 2013. My missionary story.
Oh my gosh, yeah, true.
So
With Carl.
I went to World Youth Day 2013 in Rio. And I was a high school student at the time. And of course, I just said I was serving as a leader. And that whole theme was like, go make disciples. Right? The missionary call. In the Gospels, it's the end where the Lord has the Great Commission for the disciples, you know?
Yeah.
Go forth, make disciples of all the nations. Something like that. I misquoted it, but that's the right one, right? And yeah, very recently I realized that's the moment where I decided to pursue my faith in my future. Up until that point, I wanted to do like IT stuff. Like, yeah, surprise, right? I'm an Indian, I wanted to do IT. Right? But the context was I loved games, I loved animations, I wanted to get into that stuff.
Or taxi driver. Oi, stop.
Anyways,
that out.
What'd you say? Taxi driver.
She said taxi driver.
That's what you heard. Whoa, you hear what you want to hear.
This is Nikki. She's got two horns over here.
Whoa!
What?
My mom would say that when I was bad as a
Oh,
kid.
I thought you
okay.
said
Growing-
two. Did you hear what I heard?
Nah, I didn't hear nothing.
No.
Horns, I mean like...
No, I heard.
Nah, I didn't hear nothing. I heard taxi driver, that's what I heard.
So anyway, World Youth Day, Jesus, yes.
Bring it back to the conversation.
Disciples.
Jesus.
I know. Cool. So, anyways, it was in that World Youth Day.
You heard it, yeah?
What the heck?
Alright, disciples.
So, I didn't want to do that stuff. That was the time that I decided to go into like the field of the faith.
Yep.
I was in my second last year of high school, going into my last year, and it was like, that's the question, right? Like, what are you gonna do now?
Yep.
And I knew at that point I want to do something with my faith, and so I pursued it. That last year of high school was pursuing it. Blah blah blah. Long story short, I got into my dream university, dream course, and I was sitting my HSC as a uni student. Not many people can really say that.
That's crazy,
Sure.
bro. Yeah. No pressure.
Yeah, like it was my dream. Like it wasn't a backup. It wasn't anything. It was what I wanted to do.
Nice.
All there. So
Must be
I was
nice.
blessed. The Lord really allowed that gate to open, and there was a lot of peace there. And so that brings us to the next year, which was 2015. And that's the first year that I went to this thing we call in the community Great Adventure Tour, where people here in the community go back to the Philippines and do it's like social work-ish, but it's like an immersion where you visit
/holiday.
holiday, like a pastoral holiday. So you have like talks and you visit the sites, but you also visit the community there. And so being there, there's a lot of full-time missionaries for the community there. We didn't have any homegrown at that point. Just one that came from the Philippines. Kuya Jep would be here at that time. And anyways, going there for the first time and experiencing the life, the culture of the missionaries, that became real. And I think that was a place where the seed was planted, like, ooh, like I can actually do this. this community that I've been a part of now so that was 2015, right? So I joined community 2010. So 5 years part of this community, it renewed me. Something I forgot to share was that my parents and my brother are part of the Couples for Christ community. And so the community didn't just renew myself as a person, but my family. Like, we're stronger together because of it. And that's for another time. But yeah, long story short, when I went to the Philippines, I was like, wow, like, I can actually serve this community. Like, I can work as a missionary for it. But it wasn't very real at that point. Like, here in Australia, there was no talk of it, no opportunities, and it was just a seed of desire. So I came back, kept serving, fell in love, and then it was 2016. I went again for another gap, and I think that's where the seed of desire, like we've been sharing, was still there. It was like all these things, but I still wanted it. It was still interesting. If it was just a phase, it would have gone.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And so that start of the year 2016, I decided, okay, let's chase it. Let's pursue it, like actively do it. So how? Just keep growing in my relationship with God in my day-to-day life, right? In order to get to the end goal, you need to live the day-to-day. And so I was doing that, and that was the year. It was challenging. Like, I had a lot of challenges within the service. There was, like, I was doing a youth ministry role already, and getting money for that. Like, that whole year, I was like,
that was tough.
his middle name's Bolin, and then that year my middle name became Bolin because I had a lot of money. Really, like, all the money that I had.
He had money.
And so it was a year that tested that desire. Like, if you have a job that's similar, that has a lot of money, do you want to stay here? But anyways, long story short, through the struggles and everything, I even had times where I just could have left community, the CFC community, but my heart and that desire was still so strong. Despite the hurt, despite the struggles, it was like, no, I still want to be a missionary for it. And you can imagine that, like, I was so strange. Like, in a normal sense, if something's bad or you don't like it, you'd leave. But my question was like, why do I still want to be here? And I knew it was real. And so, 2017 came along and I decided to chase it even harder. So I pursued it, and that's when I became what we call mission partners in this community. I was serving with Nikki. We were taking care of...
You weren't in there.
He was in the household still.
I wasn't there.
I was
He
still...
wasn't in our friendship.
I was still taking care of... This friendship wasn't joined. It was separate, like me and Tommy and then me and Nikki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I was still taking care of Tommy as his leader, but I was serving with Nikki, taking care of the youth of Sydney, and
we were his parents, pretty much.
Yeah, it was cool.
Nah, that's the Tabuenas. Shout out to the Tabuenas.
Sorry.
Great
We're like the
coordinators.
auntie uncle.
Nah, they're like my older...
We're just his older brother and
older
sister.
brother.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And so, I was serving. I was serving,
That's his phone,
and
yeah.
the more I served,
Nicky, bro, what are you doing, man? That's your brother.
nah, this is clickbait. TikTok.
I put his cover in now.
Oh, yeah, true.
No. Keep going.
Anyways, after the break.
No, keep going.
Okay, so keep going. Where was I?
Mission partners.
Yes, so
Sorry,
we
I got
started
distracted,
serving
it's got
together.
me.
Because I included her in the story. She's like, TikTok. No. Anyways. So we served together. And during that 2017, I think that's when I became a mission volunteer. Currently, Tommy is one. And basically, it's, as the name says, you volunteer for the mission. Like, when they need you to do stuff or help take care of the areas. And the more I did that, the more the fire grew. I desired to become a missionary. And I wanted to. And then my big turning point, like that if Nikki was talking about, the primary and secondary push, like, this is what I want to do. And Tommy was talking about the commerce and music push. For me,
IT?
I finished... No. I didn't want to... My push came in 2018 when I started that year. Because it was my last year of uni. And it was the way of, like, what do you want to do after you finish? I think deep down in my heart, I wanted to be a missionary. All the signs were, like, pointing to it. Like, Kuya Jep was finishing his term here as the missionary for Australia. And he was hinting to all of us, like, I want a local to replace me. But at the time, I had a lot of fear and a lot of comfort that was stopping me. People, like, Australia wasn't ready to hire a local missionary. You know, like I still had uni to finish, and all of these things were hindering me. I guess basically fear and comfort. You know, the fear of the unknown, the fear of not knowing if it's actually guaranteed, and the comfort of like my life, like money, protection of family.
He has money.
Also like, you know, the security, the comfort of the future, like fear of the future. Like, will I be able to support my future family, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Because like we've said, like the path that we choose is not for ourselves, and especially the path of a missionary, you're really dying to oneself. And so, long story short, I was battling with that in 2018, but the point that I changed was again when I went to the international conference in 2018, where we were celebrating the one where Tommy had fireworks playing to his song that he produced.
Whoa.
My highlight from that was really like God just showing to me the faithfulness that He's done in my life. Like at that point, 21 years old, at that point, just looking at all the gifts that God has given to me, not just me, but the people. Like even just Tommy's like story of music, you know, chasing that dream, and everyone being at that point was like, why do I have to fear? Why do I have to be scared? Just chase it. And like what we said earlier, like try it. If it's not for you, you just move forward, you know? And so, yeah, I said a yes, not knowing what's to come. And as soon as I came back from that international conference, the Lord opened the gates for the rest, you know? Like I came back, finished uni for 2 months and focused on that. And then as soon as I finished uni, the CFC leaders here were like, oh, we're thinking about hiring a local. You know, the gate opened at that perfect timing.
Yeah.
And so I pushed for that. And then long story short, the start of this year in February, I went to Philippines and was living there for 3 months, training to be a full-time pastoral
He
missionary.
became
And
Filipino, honestly.
now I'm here. Mabuhay. Okay, Filipino, huh? Oh, what do you mean? I don't know. Konti lang Tagalog, huh?
Again? Konti lang?
What do you
How
mean?
much Tagalog do you know?
Very little.
It's be the part where there's subtitles in yellow. You know, there's yellow subtitles.
Yeah. Konti lang Tagalog.
He's actually not Philo.
Yeah,
I believe.
I'm Indian, as mentioned earlier about being a taxi driver.
Nicky said it.
I did not. That is
Don't
so
worry,
rude.
if they watch the other podcast, they
Yeah,
understand.
they'll get it.
We
they'll
talked
get it.
about
yeah,
it.
context is
How Nikki
important.
laughs soon
Don't
as they-
cancel me.
As-
Don't cancel me.
As soon as you say India, Nikki laughs. But not that point, because she's trying to uphold her, you know, her image.
Nah. Who cares?
Ah, see? Now she's running away. But anyways, yeah, that's my story of how I came to be. And I've been doing that now for 6 months. Halfway being a missionary. And so, yeah, it's been a blessing and I still believe it. I'm really fulfilled in my life at the moment and living a life of purpose. Similar to these guys, my friends that have a similar attitude. We're chasing our dreams. We're chasing a life of purpose. Living a life of purpose. One that's fulfilling and not compromising on who we are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, for example, we're all musicians. Even though Tommy's the musician here, official professional musician, me and Nikki also love our music. But we also incorporate in our lives. Me in missionary
Yeah.
work, her in teaching. The stuff we've done in ministry, like talking and like relationship building and all of that, we continue to use. And yeah, it's truly a life of fulfillment, I believe. And I think that's why we wanted to share our stories today in this podcast. Simply because this is where our journey begins. It's fitting for the story of Waffle Fry's podcast, the story and the journeys that we'll go on with, start with our very own. So hopefully maybe future guests or whatnot, we'll get them to share their stories.
Ooh.
But we hope, I
Love
think,
that.
personally, I just hope out of this podcast, if you stayed till the end, thank you so much.
You're a real one.
But I hope that you've been inspired in a sense to chase your dream and become you. You know, not become a Mandrid, not become a Nikki, not become a Tommy, but become who you are. Because, yeah, sitting here now, living this life, living my dream at 22 years old, it's really one that's worth it. All the ups and downs, it's worth it. Yeah, I'm sure these guys can agree.
Yeah.
And I hope that you just conquer that fear and get out of the comfort to just try it and give it a go, because you'll never regret it once you're there.
I think I want to ask you guys a question just to end it. I don't know if you want to end it there, but the reality for a lot of our viewers, you, I think the reality for a lot of our friends is that maybe I think a lot of people can relate to not knowing what they want to do in the future and like not having a purpose or like being scared of not ever finding a purpose, their purpose, I mean. So what kind of advice would you give to those people? It's an open forum.
I think, well, the thing that jumped out straight away for me is like, look at your hands. Like, what do you do already that you kind of like are good at or you like? Because, I mean, I'm assuming we're talking about like 18 years old and plus. You've had 18 years on the earth to cultivate something. So look at your hands. You mean like, what do you do? Like, do you play guitar? Are you good at numbers? Do you work in ministry already? Like, I don't know. Like look at that and then maybe try and build off that, because that's what I did.
And I think for me, the most thing is we need to conquer the fear.
Yeah.
And the comfort. I'll share it as quick as I can, but this is the moment in my life that I really conquered that fear and comfort. And it wasn't only until I was in the Philippines training. Basically, we did random acts of kindness, and we're in a buddy system. And my partner, he can speak Tagalog fluently, so I was like, no worries, I'll be like, oh yeah, we should do this, we should do that. He'll do all the talking. So I was very comfortable with all of that, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, my heart was like a magnet, where it drew me towards giving water. We were giving out water to this guy on this bench. My heart was like just drawing me to it. But in my mind, it was like, all the 101 excuses came. Like, you're like, look at me. Imagine me, like all the Filipinos, like, can you stand up, Nikki? Just to give them a picture.
Might not be
like, Nikki is tall in the Philippines.
Oh yeah, true. I'm average.
Yeah.
I'm average.
And so imagine, okay, you can sit down now if you want. But imagine me walking around there. Like, one, that's already intimidating.
Gentle giant.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Yeah, true.
And two, like, I speak English, so I'm going to give them all nosebleeds.
yeah.
Or like they won't understand me. So I was really with a lot of fear, a lot of comfort. Like, I can't give this guy water. Like, I just can't. Like, now that I think about it, so like, but you know, the understand the fear and the comfort. Because when I asked my partner, like, hey, we should give him water, he's like, here, it's your turn. So he challenged me. But there was a moment where I said in my mind, I can't do it. Like, I accepted defeat and my heart like broke. And in the community or like just in life, we always say that, don't let the spirit pass you. I really felt like that was the moment where, boom, like the spirit passed. And I kid you not, as I accepted defeat, the guy got up and left.
Wow.
And the whole time I was just like, dude, that's Jesus, like waiting for me to give him water, you know, like, and I just left it. Anyways, we were next to a church, went inside, and I dipped my hand in the holy water, did the sign of the cross, and then as soon as I did that, I felt like the Lord said to me, like, is language greater than me? And that was the moment I was like, wow, like, I believe that God is real, and He created me, He created all these things, but I think language, like, in that moment, I felt like language was greater than Him.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where I was like, no, Lord, you're greater.
Yeah.
So as soon as I, like, it was funny, as soon as I entered the church, I decided to leave because I grabbed 2 bottles of water, and then my partner was still in there praying. I went outside and ended up giving out water. And the point of the story there was, like, for me, as a missionary, God is greater than any fear, any comfort that we have. And for those that are scared, those that are in comfort, just try. Like, I cannot urge you enough. Like, look at your lives, look at where you are, look at all your blessings. You have all of that already. God's taking care of you. Even if you don't believe, the fact that you woke up this morning and you have a breath of life, that's your opportunity to take these things. Don't let fear stop you. Don't let fear stop you from chasing anything you desire. As long as it's good and it brings peace, it'll be worth it. And in the end of the day, if you chase it, I'm sure it's a good thing that you're chasing. If you chase it and it's not for you, there's something greater waiting for you. So don't let the fear stop you. That's the best advice I can give you, because in the end of the day, it's there.
Amen.
Countless times, I think all of us, we get scared. But it's always that reminder for me. There's something greater. For me, it's God that's there protecting me, and there's always something greater in the end, no matter how hard or difficult. So
Nice.
Yeah.
I think my advice would be, is to not. It's probably stopped. Is to not compare yourself to others, like
Nice.
timelines. I think
Yeah,
a lot
good
of
one.
I think a lot of people get caught into like, oh, they're getting married already. I should be married by now. And a lot of my friends are like that. Like, oh, where am I? What am I doing with my life? Like, they're already doing this kind of thing. And I don't know. I think I realized early not to do that because I graduated. I graduated uni like my undergrad like really late. So I think I've already come to terms with going by my own timeline and being okay with that. But I think a lot of the times people think they need to be like at a certain stage in their life right now. I think the best thing to do is just to, go at your own pace. I think like some of the greatest legends out there only discovered their passions when they were in like their 30s or 40s. But I think, like, I don't know if you can name a few.
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, didn't he make his recipe like when he was like
65.
yeah,
something
like a lot of people find it, but I think just take it step by step, day by day, and talk to people. Like talk to people about it. You have us, your new friends, if you want to talk to about
Yo,
like
hit us up.
how you're feeling and stuff. I forgot to mention that I have another job doing this sort of thing. Like it's a call center, but I talk to like uni students and I help them get the support they need for any issues they may have in terms of finding their career paths or like whatever like that. So I think and these people are missionaries as well that can help you with finding your path as well. So
TikTok.
I think I think like we're also like kind of connects us is our love for people, and I think we want people to be
The
Finish my
best people
sentence.
they can be.
there was a saint that had that quote.
All of them.
All of them.
No, there was one that had a
Be, I don't know,
the set on fire one.
the on fire one.
On fire, this be the one that you
Amen.
no, Saint Augustine.
I said.
Rest.
No,
I said
no,
those
no,
that
no.
sing pray twice.
No. When you get your purpose, you set the world on fire, something like that.
Oh,
No, that's a blaze. No, setting the world on fire.
No, come on. You
Saint
got-
Therese of Avalon.
Is it
maybe?
her?
Maybe, but I'm not. 100%.
Anyway, I'll put the quote up on
Right
there.
here, read it.
Right here.
Yeah, because the video stopped anyway. So.
Yeah, who cares?
Anyways,
Anyway, speaking of fire, there's bushfires happening right now.
Anyways, before we end the topic,
And
this
the
has been
koalas-
very long.
A whole koala colony got wiped
I
out.
know.
So
This is gonna be in the
this is a serious
bloopers.
issue, though.
yeah.
talk about it next time.
But for this time,
There's
we
another one in
shared our
Brazil.
stories. We hope to inspire you in chasing that, and we hope that you journey along with us. For the future podcasts, we hope to have like topics. So, maybe we'll send out like these guys have Instagram, so maybe we'll do like a
Instagram poll. or something
Instagram
like
poll, like
Oh,
give
yes.
us topics, and we'll actually talk about that next time we record. Just list it up and be like,
Oh,
hey,
yes.
like 10 minutes each on which
Yeah.
one topic, and yeah, we just want to get the ball rolling. Make everyone make their impact in this world, I guess.
that. Yeah.
And then we'll get them to comment as well. I like comments, like live comments.
Yes.
Yeah. True.
So comment on videos or anything that we talk about us in real life. But yeah, I think for now in this first episode, it's been a long one, but thanks for being with us, and we hope to journey with you.
Yeah. I've been Tommy,
Nikki.
And I'm Mandred.
and this was the Waffle
Waffle
Fries
Fries
podcast.
Podcast.
Bye.